Hey guys, what's up? Sora here, back with another Shadowverse video, and I'm playing a little bit of catch-up here with the preview cards. I know a lot of cards were released over the last weekend. I'm recording this on June 11, Monday. So this video may be longer than usual compared to other card preview videos, but I did want to go over this with you guys systematically until we reach the release of Brigade of the Sky. So first off, we have Swordcraft Bronze. Actually, the name of the card is Tycoon, and he says here that he's a 2-drop 2/2, Fanfare, Enhance 7, gain +3/+3, then draw cards until there are 5 cards in your hand. So essentially, going for the Enhance really here, that's what makes it remarkable. So a 7-drop 5/5 would draw up to 5, which may or may not be good, theoretically. It may give Aggro Sword more gas, which is the very interesting thing. I can see at least Aggro Sword play with this card, at least a 2 of in the deck, because it kind of functions in the same vein as Staircase, but with a body, and also a 5/5 on turn 7 isn't nothing. It's not the best, but it's not nothing. So especially if you draw up to 5, it can be draw 5 at max, draw 1, 2 at worst for Aggro Sword. So I can definitely see some experimental play here. Alright, Dragon Knights. Now this is going to be long, guys, because there's 4 different cards. But let's go over the actual summon card first. So Dragon Knights is a 5 play point spell. And then it has a choose mechanic, summon Vane, Siegfried, Lancelot, or Percival, and then Enhance 8 is choose 2 of those followers instead. Now we're going to go over the cards themselves later, but what's interesting right now is that the Enhance 8, the card is pushing you towards choosing 2 of the synergistic knights out of the 4, because 2 of the knights have abilities that relate to the 2 other knights. So let's actually review those knights really quick. Vane Indomitable Knight is a 5 play point, exact same as the summon card. 2/5 that at the end of your turn gain +1/+0 and restore 3 defense to this follower. So it's kinda like Cernian Light Hind Light without the rush. And given that you can summon 2 on 8, I'm sure that's a little bit of a power balancing level of the card. This is, I think, one of the first, or one of the few at least, sword cards that auto heal themselves, so that's pretty interesting. And he also gains more power over time, so that is also interesting. Might be control swordy mid-range. I can see this card being played in general, really. Siegfried, 5-drop 5/4 with Bane and Ward. That is really, really annoying. Unless Brigade of the Sky proves otherwise, the threshold for damage is still going to be 3. The fact that he's a 5/4, living outside of that, he's going to be really annoying to deal with. Especially if, imagine that he's protecting someone that you just summoned out of the same card. So with Enhance 8, you get 2 drops on the field, one of them being him, that's protecting the field. That's pretty annoying. That can be pretty annoying. So I suspect that he's going to be one of the more played modes out of the 4. Lancelot, Twinfang Prodigy. Oh, so he is a 5-drop 3/3 Storm, so already powerful because of just Storm. And then whenever this follower attacks, gain +1/+1 if an allied Vane Indomitable Knight is in play. So this is the first synergistic card, going to be a 5-drop 4/4 essentially with Storm, which is again not nothing, and that's coupled with Vane, who heals himself and gives himself +1/+0 every turn. So you have, assuming that you have the evil point still by 8, you could get a 4/4 rush and really a 4 power, a 4 power rush and then a 4/4 storm on top of it. That's a pretty hard board to deal with. Pretty offensive is what I want to say. And then the other card is Percival, Lord of Flames. Gain rush while an allied Siegfried Dragonslayer is in play. Whenever this follower attacks, gain +X/+0. X equals the number of allied followers in play. I absolutely think that Siegfried and Percival are the go-to for this, because one has rush, and the other one has Bane and Ward, that's really freaking annoying. And they're both 5/4s. So, like, he can literally almost punch through anything given the +X/+0. And it's Sword. Like, you expect Sword to have a lot of followers on the board as you play stuff. So, on Enhanced 8, I find that play Siegfried plus Percival extremely strong. On 5, whether he's good by himself, he's probably going to be the most played out of all of them. Just because of Rush. You have to remember stuff like White Queen. White Queen is almost always good. In the same vein, like 5/4, it's kind of mimicking Barbarossa. So the summon card might actually replace Barbarossa in most mid-range lists, I would expect. So yeah, a really, really good card overall. I like what these 4 knights all bring to the table. All 4 of them seem to be useful. And of course, Husbandos for the people that like that stuff. Beautiful art, beautiful cards, great effects, competitive. A+ for me, no matter what happens from here on, and just because of the design. Really, really well done. Latham, Honorable Knight, one of the Sword legendaries. We do not know the final count of the legendaries on the set, by the way. There's been no announcement of that, so we'll find out later. But he has Accelerate 2, Summon 2 Knights. The Knights are going to be the 1/1 tokens. So essentially a Summon Bloodkin but Knights. When you do cast him for the full amount, he has Fanfare, give your leader the following effects. Whenever an allied follower attacks and there are no allied knights in play, summon a knight. Whenever an allied follower that originate costs 1 play point comes into play, give it Storm. This is very, very interesting. So let me break this down. First of all, the effects are not stackable, right? So let me break this down. Whenever an allied follower attacks, so that's a little bit more strict than something like Patchmaster, where if you just play a spell, there's no resource that is required other than the play points to play those spells. Here, you actually have to have something on the board to stick already to attack, and he himself does not have Rush. So it's kind of anti-synergistic, because I would have expected this card to have Rush at the very least. That way you can trigger the effect as soon as he lands. And 8/7 isn't really like too overpowering to give Rush, but anyway. Then whenever an allied follower originate costs 1 play point comes into play, give it Storm. There's not a lot right now that do not already have Storm. The stuff I can think of is Percival, maybe. Quickblader already has Storm. Gosh, what would have Storm that's a 1-drop? I'm hard pressed to think of something like Goblin. Like you would want a 1-drop 1 Goblin, but then that assumes you're playing aggro Sword, and if you're playing aggro Sword, then why would you put an 8-drop there? Like maybe as far as reach is concerned, because he is essentially a Summon Bloodkin on 2. So maybe that's the logic behind this, is that you're actually just playing a legendary Summon Bloodkin that can become a big follower later on that gives you theoretically reach. I'm not super impressed by this card. However, I think that my mind will be changed once we see all of the silvers and bronzes, as well as maybe even the golds that might be supporting this type of archetype. But from what's being played in Sword right now, I do not see him synergizing with any existing strategy. Albacore is a 7-drop Dragoncraft card, 7/5, and then with the last words, restore 3 defense to your leader. Take 2 card, just big body with restore effects. That's pretty much all I can say about this card. Fran, really, really interesting card. So this was revealed in China, so pardon the Chinese label on the card, but it has been translated. So Fanfare, put a Fran's Attendant or Fran's Curse into your hand, and then Enhance 7, put a Fran's Attendant and a Fran's Curse into your hand instead. So again, we're getting the same effect as Chromatic Duel, right? In this case, it's Enhance 7. Now, though she's essentially just a 0/1, so she's a body that's meant to be sacrificed. Curiously enough, though, with Arcus, she actually translates into 3 power. just because she becomes 3 ghosts. But right now, she doesn't really have a lot going on other than being a sacrificial body herself. But here's where she's powerful. So this is Fran's Attendant, one of the choices. You have Fanfare, Necromancy 6, Gain +2/+2, and Rush. So if you have 6 shadows already, you are essentially casting a 0-drop 5/4 Rush. Potentially pretty dang powerful, especially for a 0-drop. So imagine playing this on turn 3, which you probably won't have 6 shadows by then. You just played Fran and then a 0-drop 3/2 on turn 3. That makes you have a sticking board by turn 4, which in Shadow matters a lot. It doesn't really matter what power you have on board as long as you have the bodies on the board. Like, that is far, far more important. So even at the lowest base of this card, where it's just like a 0/1 and a 3/2 body on turn 3, that's already pretty dang chock full of utility, is what I want to say. And then when you do have Necromancy 6, it might not be the best use of that, but you're getting a 0-drop 5/4 Rush. That has to account for something. So you can save him for later when you need to destroy a big threat. I see him being like functioning in the same manner as Soul Squasher, really, where you need to get rid of a big threat, you need to spend shadows to do so. Fran's Curse is also very interesting. So deal 4 damage to an allied follower and 4 damage to an enemy follower. The spell can only be used if an allied follower and enemy follower is in play. So essentially a Troft's Curse, but only 4 damage, but again it's 0. So the fact that it's 0 drops, really good for shadow generation. Like, you can kill your own stuff, trigger its last words, and then kill something off as well. Like, this, I expect this card to be fully playtested. I'm not going to say it's competitive quite yet, because the 0/1 makes me wonder, because you have to jump through hoops technically to get there. But like, if the number of applications of this card, like if there's a bunch more last word support in this upcoming set, for example, or anything along those lines that really just makes this card broken, or makes this card the engine to get to some of that more broken stuff, I fully believe that she's going to be one of the mainstays in all Shadow decks in this upcoming expansion. The last thing I want to say about Fran's Attendant is that it actually cannot trigger Arcus, because that goes off its original play point costs. So once you trigger Arcus, this is useless. So the card is not entirely synergistic with Fran's Attendant. But Shadow, you've never really had to play with 100% synergistic cards anyway to make it work. So just so you guys know. Next card is Sophia, Pious Pilgrim, Havencraft, Silver. 3-drop, 2/3, unevolved, it's just a 2/3, so it's essentially Grimnir stats. And when you evolve her, randomly summon a copy of an allied follower that's been destroyed this turn. Okay, so before we get triggered by Sir Ridwin effects, right? First and foremost, it's a this turn effect. So at the most, you're reviving something of a 7-drop, like a Heavenly Knight. If you ran a Heavenly Knight in, and then you evolve her, then you would get the Heavenly Knight back. That's number 1. But that requires you to have 10 play points and an evil point as well, so that even that's not pretty practical. What I see here is that you get some sort of value. Notice that she doesn't get any evil stats at all. She still remains to be a 2/3, even when you evolve her. So I suspect that a lot of the value is actually going to come from Snow White, which is going to make a sticky board. So you play Snow White between turn 2 or turn 3. Snow White does her thing where she trades with a bunch of stuff on the board. On your Evo turn, going second, you play her. Snow White comes back. That's freaking fantastic. Honestly, like, you can make a copy of Snow White, which is extremely annoying. Or it's what other cards like that already exist that would be really annoying if they died. Probably like, gosh, I don't know. Cernian Hind? Maybe I can see that working pretty well, where you attack with a Cernian Hind, especially because Light Hind is pretty hard to kill. Gosh, there's plenty. There is legitimately plenty of stuff here, guys, where I feel that she will definitely be play-tested. I'm not sure if she's going to be a sticky in any of Havencraft decks, but honestly, her and Snow White sounds disgusting. And if we get any more of those annoying 2, 3, 4 drops in Haven, we might be looking at a mainstay here. Last is Captivating Conductor. Portal Craft, 5 drop. Select 2 followers in play. Deal X damage to the first follower and Y damage to the second follower. X equals the attack of the second follower and Y equals the attack of the first follower. Okay. So, essentially, is this the mid-game of Puppet? Absolutely not. However, this does allow for mass, or more than one, a 2-for-1 essentially. A 2-for-1 in Portal that is not Spinaria. So there is that. The only problem that is being held back by this card is that number one, you are dependent on having the 2 followers in play that you can interact with, and them having high enough power to kill each other. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that you're still playing a spell. Even on best case scenario, it's still a tempo loss because you didn't play anything on 5. Now, if you have Puppet Room, for example, where it's actually just generating puppets for you and all you're looking for 5 and 6 is really just control, then maybe this card would work. So for those like pure puppet decks, maybe this is the card that isn't necessarily going to save them, but is going to get them there. Definitely I welcome anything that's 5-drop, 6-drop Portal Craft right now, especially something that can be feasibly played by puppets. I'm not sure if this card is still what we're all looking for, but it's close. It's relatively close. So, passing grade for me right now. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, it's still early. We're only in the first third of the month. There's plenty of cards to be announced. There's going to be more announced, I'm sure, by the time this video comes up that I haven't even caught up to yet. Looking forward to going that with you guys, or going over all of that with you guys is what I meant to say. But until then, thank you guys for watching. This has been Sora, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.